Semore Badejo holds a first degree in mass communications, master's in communications arts, and a PhD in social psychology specializing in mass mobilization. He cut his professional teeth at the old Lagos State Broadcasting Corporation, where he worked as a reporter and a news anchor. He later worked with the Guardian group of newspapers as a journalist and writer. In 1991, Semore joined Magnum Gold Advertising and later moved to two other reputable advertising agencies, working as copywriter and client service manager. He was a pioneer staff of the first financial corporate communications outfit in Nigeria. He established Concrete Communications Limited in 1998, a communications consultancy outfit positioned as communications auditors for corporate organizations and government agencies. It is on record that his professional expertise has sustained a lot of brands introduced into the Nigerian market and are currently leaders in their categories of business. He conceptualized and produced the first MTN-sponsored Yoruba radio program titled Tenin Teni. The program, which ran on 6 popular radio stations in southwest Nigeria for 13 weeks, was nominated for the prestigious Nigeria Media Merit Award under the category of Radio Program of the Year. For many years, he was a part-time lecturer at Wesley University, Ondo, teaching advertising and public relations. He has also been a facilitator in so many fora on communications-related activities. Semore is a registered member of the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCON, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, and a fellow of the Institute of Information Management, Africa. He is also a Knight of Charles Wesley. Let's welcome Semore Badejo.
Thank you for having me here today. Yes. It's a pleasure.
It's very nice to have you here. You know, I've always seen you as a man of many parts. I can't say too many parts because I see you are still acquiring more and more. Not too long ago, you got yourself a PhD in, of all things, psychology.
Yeah.
What led to that?
Well, I have a background in communication, and I practice communication. And basically, I just feel that it's a behavioral science. And for you to be able to understand your audience, you really need to go into reasons why they do some things. And then, so that was why the interest in psychology was developed. And not just psychology as a broad one, but social psychology with special emphasis on mass mobilization. And again, because I lecture, I like impacting knowledge. I like marrying the classroom with practice, theory with practice. So I chose to embark on that so that I can tell my students, this is reality, this is theory. And it has helped out.
Now that you're still practicing as a lecturer?
Oh, yes. I'm practicing, and then I'm also a public relations consultant.
Let's talk about public relations.
Yes,
now,
good.
How do you marry it? You're a public relations consultant. You're a very strong person in church. Yes. You're a lecturer. In today's PR practice,
yes,
a great deal of networking, contacts, and all that, sometimes bordering on almost corruption or the old boys syndrome.
Yeah.
We went to school together, so he's the one we're giving the job to. How are you surviving?
Well, let me first say that we have been lucky to have loyal clients.
All right.
Loyal in the sense that we build relationships.
Good.
We practice what we preach. We don't cut corners. We're not marketing here. But I keep telling people that I think the artistic instinct in me, it comes to play in situations like that when people think I don't need money. You know, I walk away with my integrity and my head screwed straight up than to compromise. So in situations where I find myself compromising, I rather walk away.
Okay.
So a lot of people think this guy does not need money. I say, well, I need money, but I still keep my integrity intact. So it has kept us, you know, it has given us loyal customers, loyal clients. We have built brands from the scratch to what we call competitive stage. Okay. And we are enjoying their patronage. Okay. We don't want to be the biggest. We just want to add value.
And be relevant.
And yes, and that's what we've been doing.
Now, you see, there's this thing about one's background and upbringing in character building.
Yes.
How has your background as the son of a reverend gentleman impacted on who you are today?
Well, it's actually the whole thing. Because I grew up in a home where the fear of God was actually implanted on us. Apart from that, my father, my mother, they were teachers. And then we were like living in a barracks, you know, regimented lifestyle. And then again, my father being a lover of music too. So I had no choice than to just pick up, you know, from there. It's so funny that when I tell people that I had no social life growing up as a child, everything was about the church. And even my plays were at church. I recall that we lost a cat and I was conducting a mass.
For the cat?
For the cat.
Wow.
Because that was all I knew.
Yes.
You know, until we started having some level of freedom. And then we're going out there to see the other side of life. And our inquisitiveness also took the better part of us to see what's happening there. But that background had always drawn us back into conscience, you know, working on our conscience to always do the right thing. So it's a passion for me to serve God. It's a way of life because that was what I grew up to know.
Okay.
So it's not out of the ordinary, you know, all that I do these days to serve God.
Yeah, but you know, some people may have rebelled against that kind of rigid or regimented background.
Yeah.
You chose to stay.
We tried. I tried.
Oh, you tried too?
I tried, but it didn't work.
Oh.
My father was, God bless his soul, a disciplinarian.
Tell me about it.
I'd received 114 strokes of the cane as an 11-year-old boy.
And 114?
Yes, I counted and I didn't steal. All because I was late for prayers, early morning prayers. So I was stuck. He removed all my clothes and I was beaten naked. My mom could not stand it. She had to walk into her room and she was crying. In those days, you know, mothers would not have a say. You know, she would just keep, you know. So, and what happened, I slept off. He rang the bell for prayers. I was not there. And they were banging on my door. And I had locked from behind.
Oh, no.
And that was the offense.
You actually invited the beating then?
Yes, I locked from. So it was a banging. Neighbors had to come. In fact, they had to climb the ladder to draw my cover clothes before I could wake up. So while they were doing all of that, my father just went into a nearby bush and was just cutting canes. And immediately I came out of it. He said, just come to my room, remove your clothes. And that, as an 11-year-old boy.
What was that like for you?
Well, it got to a point I was dead to pains. I was just lying down there, being beaten, and I was not feeling pains anymore.
By your dad?
By my father. And at some point, and that's what toughened me in life. So there is no challenge. I would say, what other pain can be much more higher than my father asking me to go and bring the cane?
Let's play a bit of psychology now. That experience,
Yes.
how did you see it even as you were growing up? Let's say when you now were, say, 18 or 19.
Well, the only thing I was determined. I told myself, I'm not going to train my children this way.
Okay.
And I could hear the man too also say, he was also saying that the way his father trained him was not the way he would train his children too. So that means I will not be too far from the truth if I also choose not to train my children the way he trained me.
Yes.
And there is this story of a drunk who had 2 children. One of them became a drunk too, using his father as an example.
As an example, okay.
The other guy never tasted alcohol, using that same father as an example. So
it's a matter of choice.
It's a matter of choice.
Yeah.
And so I chose to take my father as someone who knew that was what he knew best as
yes.
how to train a child. Spare the rod and spoil the child. And I did not, yes, when I was growing up, I didn't like the idea. But after a while, I give him credit for all that I've become. Sure. Even those tough situations that I found myself, I look back and say, if not for my father, I wouldn't be able to weather this storm.
Yeah.
Because he toughened me. There's no, even when we're growing, we're trying to be rascals.
Don't say we're trying. We just admit it, own it. We were rascals.
Yes. So, and then I faced, once I look back, I mean, what challenge could there be? So it toughened me. I saw the positive side of those,
the experience.
Those trainings. That's what I saw.
But there's something else that you got from your father that I found out that you are also passing on to your children.
Yes.
You're a multi-instrumentalist.
Oh, yes.
And you're making sure they are too.
I remember, even it was also not easy.
Yes.
I remember, I think 1974, he was traveling out. He was going to Britain and he was asking everybody, what should I bring back for you? As a secondary school student, and then maybe from 1 or 2. I said, I want a piano. While my brothers were asking for shirt, trousers, and all of that. Yeah. So he actually brought the piano.
Great.
So, and he brought what they call small wood piano tutor as a guide for me to learn. So, and he gave me a deadline. While my brothers and sisters were enjoying their clothes shirts. And I was busy studying music. Yes. And it would be, those days, parents would serve siesta and all of that. Exactly. Those things, we don't know what it is these days. So it would be serving the siesta in the room, and I would play a key wrongly.
Wake up.
I would just hear that knock from behind. I have told you not to look at the keys while playing. And I was like, is it an offense to ask for this thing? So even my gift also attracted punishment. But later in life, I started enjoying it because now I'll go to some churches, I found myself valuable, even as much as I try to hide, my gift will actually, expose me. Yeah. And I'm enjoying it. And I discovered that it has also, helped in my literary appreciation.
Yes.
I think so. I just chose that, okay, fine. My children too, they don't have a choice in this matter.
They don't have a choice?
They really don't have a choice.
So you copied your father?
No, I did not give them a knock. No,
they don't have a choice. You took away their choice.
No. But of course they enjoyed it.
Admit that you took away their choice.
I will tell you why I said they don't have a choice.
Okay.
Yes, it formed their background.
Good.
My first son naturally fell in love with piano.
Yes.
And my second son naturally fell in love with sax. And my daughter with a violin.
I see now.
So at some point, I was not pushing. They were just trying to, and they had been performing as a group, the three of them, since they were young. So right now, the one that the saxophonists don't even want to touch the saxophone anymore. Boy, he knows it.
Yeah.
He can read the note, and I believe that it will still be useful. You know, for
that
him
time
in
will
future.
come.
So I don't. My daughter reads all of them. They read note. They play very well, and we blend. You know, and they all play the guitar too.
Oh,
so,
good.
So I've left them to now take a decision on what they want to do with it.
With the talent they have developed.
I remember. That was a day my first one when it was in UI. It was a pianist with the youth choir. So he said there was a day he went to play squash. And
squash, which is also picked up from you.
Of course.
We'll come to squash later.
yeah. So, and one of those choir members saw him play squash. And he knew him as an organist. He saw him playing squash. And this fellow actually wanted to go and start learning taekwondo. So my son now said, "Oh, you're just trying to learn. I have a black belt." And then this person now said, "What is it that you don't know?"
No.
So when he was reporting that to me, I was happy.
Yes.
That, okay, fine. So you have the background.
It's
up to you.
Yes.
Because I also have a black belt in judo.
In judo.
So and all I wanted to do is to harm them for the future.
Good.
Equip them for the future and allow them to now be who they want to be.
You know, you hinted at the future, and that brings to mind something that you started doing, and which we at Plus TV are collaborating with you in further expanding, which is the good old days, the concept of comparing what's happening now with what happened when we were growing up, right? And we'll take a break very soon to talk about, and then come back to talk about what led you to the good old days.
Yeah.
Why the concept? What are the challenges related to it? And what it is bringing forth as a tool of communicating with the society, especially the younger generation.
Okay.
We'll take a break now. Welcome back to Timeless Conversations. My guest is Semore Badejo. We were talking about what led you to that decision to do something about the good old days whilst growing up and relate it to today, like teaching history to the younger generation.
Yes. Actually, let me first say that it was also another passion.
Okay.
And it was a challenge because I was discussing with one of my children. I said, when we did our NYC, our allowance was 200 naira per month, and he said it's not possible. He said it can never be possible. That because he was wondering how we were surviving. So I realized that they lack sense of history. Nobody was actually telling them anything, and they felt he never knew who Muritala was. He never knew. They all knew about the second coming of Obasanjo. They never knew anything about. So I now look back and I felt that, look, how are we going to? Our children will lose that sense of history. So you don't blame them if they become aggressive. They grew up when Nigeria was not as good as when we grew up. So they are aggressive. They tend to question and query everything we do with anger. So I just chose to say, okay, fine. Even if history is not allowed in schools anymore, let us see how we can bring snippets of this history so that by the time you tell your story, I tell my story, they can piece it together and be able to say, this man, even if he's lying, this other person cannot be lying, this one cannot be lying, and there is a common ground for them to begin to see what we are talking about. Yes. So, and it is actually, it's effective because now in this age of Google, they are now once they listen to something, they will want to go and Google
cross-check.
Yes. I remember when one of my guests talked about the assassination of Muritala, and all of them. I recall that one of them called me and said, so did we ever have a head of state that was assassinated in Nigeria? I said, that's a graduate of about 3 years or 4.
Yes.
I said, yes. I said, you can Google it. So it came back to me with information that I even never knew. It was now telling me about how Babangida, Dimka, and one of them were great friends. Mama and Vatsa. Yes. How they were great friends. How it's because of their closeness that Danjuma had to ask Babangida to go and foil the coup. He was now giving information about what happened. Now, what led him to that research? It's because of that episode.
Yes.
Now, he was now more educated about that era of Nigerian history.
Yes.
And that encouraged me to want to continue to go on, check the values, check. Someone came and told me about how they were being flogged in school in his days in secondary school for their inability to pay school fees. So one morning he told his dad, I'm not going to school today because, you have not paid my school fees and I don't want to be, receiving canes every morning. Right. And the dad said, no, I'm going to follow you. He got to the school, he went to the principal's office, he said, well, I have come to take this guy's portion of cane this morning. And the principal said, why? He said, because he's a student, he doesn't work. It's my fault. I'm the one that has not paid his school fees. So I'm the one that deserves to be punished, not this boy. I am not begrudging you for your position, for your decision. But please, let me take this stroke of cane on his behalf. And I'll be coming every morning until I pay that school fees. And they said, the principal just said, no, I won't do that. So he exempted the boy from caning every morning. He said, in fact, from that day, they stopped caning them in school, in Elisha Grammar School. So this guy came to tell his story about how his dad used wisdom to change a system, a seemingly faulty system. These days, there's going to be a problem if you beat any child in school.
Big time.
These days, So our fathers had some wisdom of addressing these issues. And we need to bring back those wisdom. We need to let them know that everything is not about protest. Everything is not about, it's about looking at it holistically and finding a way.
It should be a matter of constructive engagement.
So I'm happy that for over a period of time, we've had over 100 guests coming to talk. And I keep telling people, because this is a question I always, I'm always faced with. What is the need for you? Why are you doing this? I said, I'm happy when this message is getting across to who it is getting across to. It is not financially driven. It is just patriotically driven.
Yeah.
It is something that I feel that our children need.
Yeah.
And then so that maybe it can reawaken. The Englishman said, comparison is odious, but it is the parameter for measuring progress. It's the best known parameter for measuring progress. Because you have to compare two things. You have to compare one era with another one to say, okay, if we started this way and we are here, so how do we move forward?
Yeah.
So I think the future, there is no future without our past.
Our past,
so we need to actually look back. Yorubas say, if we don't know where we are going, we should at least know where we are coming from.
But, in watching the series, and I've watched quite a few of them, in fact, quite a number, I noticed something. Most of your guests are Yorubas or they grew up in the Southwest. Because I've seen a few people from Calabar, who are Ijos, who either grew up in Ibadan or Lagos or Abeokuta.
Yes.
When do you plan to expand it to have a more national outlook?
Yes. Actually, it was supposed to be a pan-Nigeria project. But you start from your comfort zone, those that you know. And because it is not commercially driven, we're actually not marketing it. We're not expending funds into it. We just want people who believe in the idea to join us. If you actually feel that you have a story to tell, join us. And then what we have found out is that a particular sector, a particular section of the country, they are more interested in this than others. It's an eye-opener for us, because once I invite you once, twice, thrice, I stop, disturbing you, because it is also conveying another meaning. People now begin to feel, why are you so interested? Why are you this forceful about me coming on the program? Is there anything? Are you looking for political appointment or something? So wrong meanings are being read into our insistence or our persistence at times, when we, particularly from some part of the country.
Yes.
And I felt that no, I would rather want people who will voluntarily want to, and we have been getting voluntary guests. Those who will call from US and say, look, I'm coming to Nigeria on so day, and before I return, I must record my own episode. And we are getting all that. And I believe that we just need to just continue. Those that are interested will have them on. And then I believe that over time, we're going to get more people from other parts of the country to also come and tell their story. It's not like they don't have a past, they do. And shockingly too, I just found out that also, our level of patriotism, some don't even believe in a Nigerian dream. Some don't feel that it is necessary. So why are you talking about Nigeria? This is Nigeria. There are so many nations in a nation. So some people, their own out view, or what do I call it, is fundamental. It's fundamentally different. So, but we will continue to push for as long as we have guests. We'll continue to go on.
Okay, I wish you the very best as you do that. Thank you. Let's look at the development of character. You narrated a story of how your dad disciplined you. Right. 114 strokes of the cane.
Yes.
At the age of 11.
It was actually, even when he died, it was in my eulogy to him.
To him.
It's printed, it's written.
So you know that and you were his biological son.
Yes.
These days, people hardly mete out corporal punishment. Are you in that school of thought?
Well, I'm also for discipline. I believe in discipline. I believe that you have to train a child the hard way, in a way that he will not even want. But in future, he will be thankful for it. But I also feel that it's not everything about caning. There are so many ways to skin a cat. So you can have, development has shown that you don't have to, pull your whole weight on beating and all of that, So discipline, yes, I am for discipline. But the mode of discipline, now we can begin to talk about, okay, that era, that was what they knew. Because I had bruises. I don't think I want to have any child go through that.
Well, thankfully they're all grown ups now.
So even when they were growing up, yes, I did some little beating, spanking and all of that. But of course, I was conscious of the fact that it should never get to that.
It should not get up to 50 strokes. Not to talk of 140.
Maybe the highest was 6 or something, But at least they had a feel of that punishment too. But it's not. And then we try also, after, maybe what our parents wouldn't do, is after that punishment to find a way of reconciling with you and then let you know where you went wrong. But we have moved beyond. So once you discipline, you also call them to let them know that, look, if you don't want this again, these are the issues.
That brings to mind something.
Yeah.
In parenting, no matter what you read in books, and there are quite a lot of books out there, you find that there is a core necessity of ingenuity on your part as to how to engage.
Yeah.
Growing up, it must have happened to you, it happened to me. You would have been disciplined or reprimanded wrongly for something you were not responsible for.
Yeah.
And nobody would apologize to you.
Severally.
Would you apologize to a child, or would you advocate that, look, you need to apologize to that child in trying to build a relationship?
Oh, yeah. You see, I always say this. When I feel like this is the way, I tell them, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. You do it. I'll be the first to apologize if it's not working. So I think it builds some form of confidence in them. I said, look, I don't hate you. I just feel this is the right way for you to. And if you insist you're going to have it your way, we'll look at the dangers involved in having it your way. So if you take that decision, if it boomerangs, then the next time I advise you, you will take it. You know? So vice versa.
Yes.
You know, so I think it is more of interaction now these days. It's more of interaction. It's more of persuasion. It's more of making them see reasons why, convincing them on why they should follow a path. We are also not always right.
Yes,
we
certainly.
are also not always right. So I think it is engagement that we need to do, more of engagement, for us to even be able to understand them.
Yes.
You know, we need to understand them. It's not just to come and lord it over them.
Yes.
We can talk to them, even the kind of music they listen to.
Yeah.
By the time we will talk to them, and then we'll find out that some music, I would engage them and say, what is the guy actually saying? Let's analyze. Is it making any sense? Are you gaining anything from it?
Yeah.
You know, at times we laugh over it. They say you are old school, you don't understand.
Yes,
Some they can't even interpret.
Yes,
but they are enjoying
they're
it.
enjoying it.
They're enjoying
it's
it.
the rhythm.
Yeah, it's just like someone told me. He said, one military officer years back. I said, why do you guys like music from Congo and all of that?
Yeah.
He said, we are just enjoying the rhythm.
Yes.
Because if you dance too well to Fela, they will say you are a rebel.
Yeah,
So let us, it is safe for us to listen to the music we don't understand. But we just dance to the rhythm, so nobody can accuse us of anything.
Which brings me to mind the fact that music, you're a music practitioner, maybe not on a commercial basis, but to the extent of understanding music, playing music and all that, church music, and even folk music. I'm seeing some of the stuff you do these days. And I'm saying to you that as a practitioner of music, how would you describe the change that is building up in church music, for instance? You love singing hymns, performing hymns and all that. Many churches these days, they hardly
do the hymns.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's some music that was frowned on years back that now, that form is the accepted form now.
Yeah. Let me just summarize it. Say it is a struggle for membership that is driving a lot of innovations.
Okay.
In the church settings. Like you rightly said, you know, some sects don't even consider music. Some did chants.
Yes.
But we now find out that even in Orthodox churches,
Yes.
we are moving away from these hymns that are so rich. I call them ministrations in songs.
Yes.
Some of these hymns, all you need to do is just read them, and then you begin to see that it's even more spiritually
robust.
filling. It's robust when you read than when you sing them. But you see, with the age and time, we now find that our children, They are now, they want to move into more funkified things, and that is why you will see the Orthodox churches losing membership to the Pentecostal set, because the Pentecostal set have identified the niche and that gap in how to get, people, members. Okay, fine. If I funkify the gospel, if I funkify these hymns, I'm likely going to get a lot of this audience. So once they chose to do that, our children now begin to feel that that's the comfort zone. So they now move. Now you now find Orthodox churches fighting back to say, okay, if that is the reason why you are going there, let me also do the same thing. Then you now find the Protestants also saying, okay, don't worry, enough of losing our members. We too. So you now find out that at the end of the day, everybody is trying to retain their membership. Everybody is trying to see how they can get their congregations back. So, and that is the reason why you have a lot of, but some of us still believe, while we try to understand, we still believe that we should not lose sight of those richness in those hymnals. So that's why occasionally we find ourselves doing that, just to take us back. It is all about good old days too. It's all about
the good old days of music
hymns and all of that.
All right, so we'll take another break now. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with you, our conversation with you. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. It's still Timeless Conversations. Semore Badejo is my guest. Now, Semore, as we call it.
Yeah, I find that more convenient and comfortable.
So
even the gate man in my office calls me Semore.
Semore, yes.
So I'm good.
Now, in your practice of communication, what have you found missing in our national life that could be easily incorporated at little or no cost?
Well, let me say, we have not documented our achievements so far as a nation, even as a company. I feel that the simplest definition of public relations, which also relates to a nation, is doing good and letting people know. It's the simplest definition of public relations, and it cuts across, even as a nation.
Yeah.
Now, what we hear, it's people demarketing even their country. Talking about, this country is finished. Yeah. This is that.
That's scary.
It's scary. And how do you? And then you still want that company, and you are still hoping that it will be better when you are demarketing it. And then how do you want outsiders to see? It's not, a lot of things happen in the US that we don't get to know.
Never.
We don't get to know. But here, we are the first to condemn our system, condemn our country. There is this quote that says, for all forms of government, let fools contend. Whatever that is best administered is best. We have our own situation of doing things. I remember I was a technical writer to Nigeria's Vision 2020. And I wept when I realized the enormity of the richness, that is deposited in us as a nation. My submission then was that America is not God's own country, Nigeria is. Because we are endowed. Let's leave oil. In fact, oil should be like 3% of our natural resources. Go to Ondo State there. We have the second largest deposit of bitumen in the world. That are untapped or that are illegally being mined, being taken away. Go to Elisha. That's why the radio station there is Gold FM.
Yeah.
Elisha has the third largest deposit of gold in the world.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yes. And then we have some Lebanese feeding fat illegally on those things there. and giving villagers peanuts and all of that. Go to Shaki, you have iron. Before you dig 6 feet into the ground, you get iron. And a lot of it. Go to Osogbo, where we used to have Oluwa glass. All the raw materials, what you need to do that is just drive towards Osogbo from
the place. Is that Osogbo Oluwa glass? Is that in Osogbo or in Okitipupa?
No, it's in Osogbo. Really? Yes. If you drive towards Ikpetu to Osogbo, you will find that the soil that you even see are shining. These mineral resources are there in abundance, a lot of it. You want to go to the north? There are so many things that we have overlooked. We are all pursuing crude oil and all
that we don't understand.
Or we chose to because we feel that crude oil is giving us easy money, free money, good money, fast money. And we are not looking at those areas. To me, as a nation, we must continue to push our good side, our potentials, so that the whole world can see that it's not hopeless.
Yeah, our nation, see, that's something that we need to play into our communication arts.
Yes.
And I'm referring now to our movies, our plays.
Oh, yes.
They don't portray so much or anything of positivity.
Yes, it is sad. There are so many ways we can communicate our essence as a nation. Even in the movies, to me, I tell my son who read that, I said, Nigeria is still a virgin when it comes to telling our story. We have not said enough. I mean, what we do is even unreal. When we now, even if you look at the movie today, you see accident scenes, you will laugh.
Yeah.
You know, so we are jokers when it comes to even the way we present our story. So there's a lot of vacuum in that area. It is not even the way we tell our commercial story.
Yes.
Even when we do adverts, at times they don't portray reality.
Yes.
So in all spheres of communication, we should continue to strive to want to portray reality. We want to be able to have in mind that, look, this is a Nigerian product. How do we, I saw an advert. I went to South Africa, Cape Town, there's a bank, and I saw that advert, black women, they were, filing out from a bush path. Some of them were carrying bananas, yam, and there was this white man in their midst carrying portfolio and with suit and tie. And the only copy that you had on that commercial, we understand the African market. That shows that, look, we are coming to do business with these people and we understand them. We know the way they are. But what do we get here? We are always trying to want to be like them over there. Why can't they come and be like us and see that value that we are presenting? So we have a lot to do in communication, in orientation, in mobilization, in sensitization. We have a lot to do. And it's so vast. It's unending. As long as we continue to, our TV stations, our radio stations, what are we doing? Those days, there are a lot of commercial messages, social messages. How many of that do we have today? Agbada ọ̀dà lọ́rùn kẹ̀kẹ́ o. Agbada rèé ó dá lóhùn àmúròde. Kẹ̀kẹ́ rèé ó dá lóhùn àmúràjò. Ṣùgbọ́n agbada ọ̀dà lọ́rùn kẹ̀kẹ́. How many of such are we having? Even on television. How are we helping our nation? Fake drugs and all of that. There are social messages on that. But how much of that? We have allowed commercial considerations to take over our role as a moral guardian to the people. I want to see a situation where we begin to have such, and then it will help to develop our psyche as a nation. And then people will now I want it to go viral. Things like that, social messages, let it go viral, let people know about the BCOS when it started. There was one man say, good name is better than gold and silver.
Yes.
You know, and he was singing it in that
singing
area, English.
Even OGBC used to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
So how many of that are we doing these days? And if we can still recall all these things, that means it had some influence on us.
Sure. There was even some that were done by late icon Ray Mike Wachuku.
Yes,
you understand me?
yes.
That were played on RN2,
Yes.
and you identified with them. Your highway is not a road, it's track.
Yes,
No matter what, no matter how tempting, never
yes,
speed.
yes.
Remember those you left at home are waiting to welcome you safely back home. We wish you a safe journey.
How many of that?
That was engagement.
How many of that do we have these days? How many? And then all we want is viewership, 1 million.
Yeah, but you could also think, could it be that at those points in time, those stations were government owned?
Oh yes. Even now, and now,
Yes.
we must not. That is why I said everything is on commercial, value now. But at least we are agents of change.
Yeah.
The media is supposed to generally, whether it's privately owned or we are agent of change. And then even if they take it as a CSR, a corporate social responsibility, and devote some time, to those. So it's not all about money. It's all about impact in the society.
Which is why we are running the
Yes,
good old days.
I know.
Yes,
That's why I
appreciate that. Okay,
yes.
Because our audience is a young audience, so we
Yes.
want to say, okay, there was a time that this was like that.
Yes.
Talking about a time when something was like that, I recall that Elisha means a lot to you.
Oh, yes.
Right? And
I was born and I grew up there.
In Elisha. And then there's Ijebu, which is your
hometown.
A hometown.
Yes.
So if you were to take your children to the hometown, where would you take them?
Of course, Ijebu, because that's my town.
No Elisha.
No, Elisha, they heard about Elisha, but you see, there's they will still tell me stories in Elisha that you are not one of us.
Oh, then naturally they do that everywhere.
So there's no place like home. No matter how long you stay in the place, the people will still tell you that, look, you better go and find your father's house, and all of that. So and my parents, after retirement,
and they went back home.
So that's the.
You see, I asked that question because we have a problem with this issue of you belong here, you don't belong there.
Yes.
Where you find yourself living for a particular number of years, say anything beyond 10 years, you pay tax there and all that, should be home to you.
Oh, yes.
But politically, sometimes it's difficult to engage.
It is. It is, particularly in Nigeria.
Yes.
Particularly in Nigeria, when you aspire to, that is when people will remind you of your roots.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, you have spent the better part of your life in a particular. But when you aspire for a leadership position, and then people will tell you,
not one of us.
You don't. It's not one of us. You don't.
But how do we get out of that bind?
Well, like I said, it's also a mindset thing. It's a leadership. It's a leadership thing. If our leaders can actually say, look, enough of this. We are also going to use. We are going to. Whatever we're doing here is based on merit. It is not about where you come from. It's if you are the one that can deliver, so let it happen. Until our leaders begin to take decisions based on merit and not from where you come from. We can't on our own do that since we don't have a choice. So it is a collective resolve from the leadership to say, look, I'm going to allow the best to have a say in this matter. Once it's like that, then we will continue to thrive.
So in conclusion, let me ask you a question that takes you back to your relationship with your dad.
Okay.
Right? And what you took away from him. I recall the story of when he was ill and all that. Yeah. You had to go there. Yes. You played some hymns to him. He raised his hands in recognition of those. And when you played the ones that were sounding hope, he dropped his hand.
Yes.
And when you played the one that was saying, okay, take the name of
Whatever
Jesus
it is
with you, whatever it is, I'm with you.
just,
And then he will raise his hand.
submission.
That's where you should be going.
Yes.
And then you were called that, come back. You refused to go see him.
Yes.
When, that's not the right way. You refused to taint your image of him.
Yes.
Right? That I'd rather see him as a victorious person
Yes.
than when he's dead.
How was that like you? I'm not sure I would have survived seeing him give up the ghost.
Okay.
Because we were so close at, later part of his life that I won't be there to see him just take that last breath. I mean, it's going to affect me. So I felt that the best thing I could do for this man is just allow him to go in peace and retain the picture that I saw while he was alive.
Okay.
And I think it has to do with the emotion, the emotional attachment that I had with him. And when he was taken to the morgue and I got there, I saw him, I actually ran away, but something just held me back and said, look, this man died at 88. He had done his bit.
Yes.
One day, someday, your children will bring you to, if not this place, somewhere like this place.
Yes.
So go back and celebrate him, And that was how I was able to get out of it. So I just went back and said, sir, you have done your bit, we will celebrate you, and we will continue to celebrate you.
Did you both share the love or preference for particular or similar hymns?
Oh, he was actually my influence in all my choices of hymns. Yeah. And that's why for 8 years now, we've been running a musical concert, a musical competition in the whole of Ijebu land, all Methodist churches in Ijebu. Every Easter Saturday, we always have a competition amongst all the members of the choir to donate musical instruments in his name.
In his name,
Yes, in my parents' name. My mom too was a singer. She had her compositions that I also tried to produce, and we do that, give musical instruments, give cash prize and all of that. And we are building a generation of hymn lovers, those who would see hymns as ministration in songs, and then those who are also who want to learn one or two musical instruments, but they can't afford it. So we give them out every year, and then they're happy. And I'm sure that in the nearest future we'll begin to see them as stars in gospel music. We produce a gospel artist a year. Free of charge. And then we do to the point of launching their albums with musical videos. This is the 3rd year we're going to do that.
We've been doing that.
We've been doing that all free, all pro bono. And we also like to celebrate our icons too.
Yes.
Like Jimmy Sholanke, Uncle Tujo Yelano, all of them. We want to celebrate some of them. We don't want them to die on song. We wish. I recall what we did for Uncle Tujo Yelano during his 83rd birthday. That song, he never recorded it. It was when the military took over in 1983.
Yes.
And then we did it, sent to him in UK. He wept like a baby.
Oh, wow.
He said he thought Nigerians have forgotten him. And I was happy we were able to do that when he was alive.
Yeah.
We did for Orlando Julius too. He was happy, in his weak moment. We thank God for the life of Uncle Jimmy Sholanke. He's still healthy and and he did also. We did. So I like to celebrate our icons. I just use my God-given resources to do all of this because I believe in the fact that we don't have to. Because how do we want the ones coming up? So if they feel that nobody will reward them for what they are doing, they look for quick money.
Yes.
And drop substance.
And even it's funny that these days the level of musicianship is dropped.
Yes.
You understand me? So there's a lot of sampling and all that.
Yes.
Everybody gets in and then he sings it. Some songs you can't even relate to them.
Yes.
But they say we are old school. So
I had the course to deliver a lecture in Dubai for corporate players. Yeah. I won't mention name of artist now, so that it's not going to look like I'm promoting an artist. Sure. And I addressed the corporate players, and I told them, I said, look, it's good to have a popular artist to drive your crowd, to have 1 million audience who will come and sing what they want to hear. Have you considered just one artist that will sing morals? Even if you just want to infuse him, if you just want to give him 10 minutes to address that audience that you have,
that massive
audience, you might be surprised that maybe 100 people will go home with a message. Not the kind of vulgar ones that you want to, because that's how you want to pull your crowd. Yeah. Fine. But do you think as your own CSR, you get an artist that is going to at least appeal to the consciousness, to the minds of these youths, so that when they get to it, this man is making sense? They said no, that all is about bottom line.
Okay, well, the bottom line for us is that we are out of time now. So let me thank you so much, Semore, for coming. It's been a lovely session talking to you, and we wish you the very best as you keep trudging the path of the good old days.
Thank you.
And contributing your own quota to our nation, Nigeria. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
It's been
nice. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, same here.
Yes.
My guest today has been Semore Badejo, PhD, and the Knight of Charles Wesley. That's KCW.
Yes.
All right, and he's someone who is a multi-instrumentalist and committed artist and communications practitioner. Thank you so much for coming. Until we bring in another guest, stay tuned and keep with us.